Hello, welcome to my presentation. My name is Brendan Egan, and this is Metaphysical Exhibitions and Post-Pandemic Pedagogy. This research has taken place under the Shinner Scholarship, which I was awarded in September 2019 by Limerick City Gallery of Art. The scholarship is a collaboration between Limerick City Gallery and Limerick School of Art and Design, and it offers the recipient the opportunity to conduct postgraduate research while on a full-time placement at the gallery. The focus of my research is to design and deliver an education programme opportunity between Limerick City Gallery and local Limerick primary schools. The overall aims and objectives of this research is to establish long and lasting relationships between the gallery and local primary schools, as well as design and deliver an education programme between the gallery and primary schools, but also to discover the subtle but also dramatic differences of experiencing artwork through screens virtually and in the gallery physically. And then ultimately to publish a programme model of school engagement based on the research findings that this gallery and others could employ. A model that can apply the findings to the study to aim for wider access and participation by merging online and physical engagement methods. The main research questions that have emerged from this study are: to what extent have the COVID-19 lockdowns affected how we access and engage with exhibitions? Is it possible to create meaningful learning and engagement experiences for primary schools without using the gallery space? And how can the COVID-19 lockdown experience highlight the new potential of merging physical and virtual experiences for a post-pandemic gallery pedagogy? I describe this research study as a journey of living inquiry, and there are two principal concepts that underpin my methodology, and those are artography and the rhizome. This methodology requires me to understand and reflect on my own position within a context that has many different lateral sources of new information coexisting. Working from inside an institution like Limerick City Gallery means that I have a unique viewpoint during this period of great change. Qualitative data collection methods that I am using include first-hand observations and personal reflections, interviews, structured and semi-structured, surveys, and then direct and indirect documentation of feedback and work by teachers and their students. I call phase 1 of this research study the old normal. This phase began in September 2019, when I decided to explore traditional methods of gallery learning and engagement by closely examining tours and workshops. There were 3 schools chosen to work with, and these schools were chosen in this initial phase on the basis that they were close enough to easily walk to the gallery, as to not incur travel costs, and so that they could potentially make several trips. During this phase, schools visited 4 distinct exhibitions: Sediment by Marilla Newdecker, Charles Harper's Retrospective, State of Print, and Elliptical Affinities. For Marilla Newdecker's exhibition Sediment, students engaged with this exhibition through discovery-guided learning, which meant that the learning in the gallery was steered and determined by their own curiosities, as well as a democratic system of questions and answers. For Charles Harper's Retrospective, students engaged with a rapid time-based looking and responding activity that I designed particularly for students to engage with this flat 2D work. With the State of Print exhibition, this exhibition created an immersive experience where students could act out a role play of a border control and security. The show was posing questions around borders, cultural identity, and surveillance. Elliptical Affinities was the last exhibition in the gallery before we closed for the lockdown in March 2020. This exhibition was a collective of Irish female feminist artists whose work had spanned from the early 80s until the present day. Students engaged in this exhibition through a philosophical debate traverse activity that I had designed for students to engage with the deeper concepts of the work. The main research findings for phase 1 were: for primary school students visiting the gallery space, different art types need different methods of engagement in order to match students' energy and concentration levels. Interactive tours can act as an effective way to introduce students and their teachers to the gallery space and the different forms of contemporary art, while dispelling notions of any complex theory they think they might need to engage. Practical workshops in the gallery, they can act as an effective space for students to experiment and express themselves. However, I found that they are kind of limited to predetermined outcomes. And then also that philosophical inquiry-based learning could be the most effective way to engage primary schools with the unique learning opportunities that are provided by the contemporary exhibitions at the gallery. I call phase 2 of this research the new normal. This phase was initiated by the disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic in March 2020. This event is the main turning point of the entire study. With the gallery closed to the public on and off for an entire year, I had to devise ways to continue engaging with schools with the exhibitions without using the gallery space. I found this quite an exciting opportunity to explore the parameters of online engagement, something that I would not have had the opportunity to do if the pandemic situation did not arise. This phase of the study revolves around an exhibition called As Kingfishers Catch Fire. The exhibition was set to be the highlight for 2020 for LCGA. A unique show, it was going to bring together the work of 15 Irish and international artists who explore concepts of animality and animal-human relationships in their work. It was originally planned for April 2020, but was postponed until November 2020, as you can see here in the VAI October newsletter advert. However, due to another lockdown in October 2020, the show was ultimately cancelled and never happened physically in the gallery. After the exhibition was cancelled, I decided that it could live on as a metaphysical exhibition, non-reliant on physical existence, through an online schools engagement project, and this project is called Animals and Imagination. The project is rooted in philosophical inquiry, exploring the question, does our proximity to animals affect how they manifest in our imaginations? The structure of the project is based on teachers receiving an extensive pack from me each week, containing lesson plans, presentations, and other resources for their art lessons. I decided to extend the invitation of this project beyond the schools that I'd worked with last year, as far as a school in Shanghai, China. The rationale behind extending the reach of this project was the opportunity to transcend physical location by virtual transportation, a feature of the pandemic that has been embraced across the global and arts cultural sector. An integral feature of this project is the online platform for each school to share their work as it develops over the course of the project. I use Padlet software for this, and as you can see here, it features an interactive map where each school can access the other school pages and witness how other students in different locations are responding to the same activities. For example, here is a section from the Limerick School project page. It's from week 1 of the project, and you can see students' drawings of animals that they live in close proximity to. Part of the project was for students to keep a diary at home, observing animals that they see every day, in order to gain greater understanding of these animals in our shared spaces. Here you can see a section of Cricura National School's page. This is from week 2 of the project, and this lesson was comprised completely of philosophical debate and discussion, prompted by different statements and several artists' work that I sent in a presentation. You can see here that the teacher has uploaded different audio recordings of her students explaining their opinions and their ideas in relation to the different statements and the different artists' work. Here you can see work from week 3 and 4 of the project, where students from Moyne National School responded to the artist Charles Fraser, who makes work about Irish pagan and mumming traditions. Students designed and created face coverings based on his work, but also the animals that they were observing at home. And finally, here you can see a section from the Shanghai page, where students were responding to the same activity that week. These are some initial findings from phase 2 of this study that were collected before the project began. This research study is still currently in progress, but I found so far that many primary schools teachers, before the project began, they expressed concern that they might find it difficult or challenging to translate my vision in their classroom when following lesson plans I had designed. There is also common concern amongst study participants during this lockdown period that our only experience of artwork, exhibitions and culture in general is being flattened by digital screens. And then also, when asked before the project, teachers believed that engaging with artwork in the classroom could be as effective as engaging with artwork in the gallery. However, they did recognize the experience of visiting the gallery can have a particularly strong influence on memory and association for these young students. The planned final phase of this research study is proposed to unfold into the post-pandemic, when we can welcome groups back into the gallery space once again. The final phase of this research aims to explore the bodily experience and sensation of the gallery space in a post-pandemic context. In order to do this, I'm going to explore the effects of the pandemic virtual engagement, and then hopefully discover the subtle and dramatic sensations of experiencing artwork with the body in the gallery space once again, and then ultimately combine the findings from the old normal and the new normal in order to create a gallery pedagogy which can have the potential for greater reach and access. To summarize the proposed next phase of this research, I'd like you to take a look at this Twitter post by Bette Midler. The knee-jerk reaction to this image was, unsurprisingly, an overwhelming bemoan about how doomed our younger generations are as they spend their whole lives with their heads in their phones. However, after the pandemic experience, we have all spent a year with our heads in our phones, or looking through screens more than ever before. And I can't help but wonder, could this experience highlight anything about the future of cultural engagement for younger generations? Virtual engagement is here to stay, and younger generations may have a different opinion about what makes a genuine experience. When the realization dawned that school groups would not be making trips outside the classroom for an entire year, it struck me as an incredibly exciting opportunity. What better way to consider the impact of the gallery experience than when it has been stripped away? As the saying goes, you don't know what you've got until it's gone. Is this going to be true for the gallery space and for physical exhibitions? If primary school groups can have a meaningful learning experience without using their gallery space, how could this inform a blended approach to post-pandemic pedagogy? And then by developing a framework of online communication between the gallery and schools, could this lead to a model that could provide wider access to learning opportunities and not just to those in close proximity? The challenge of this study has been finding a way to navigate these questions while they are still living and breathing inside the situation. But by attempting to first use foresight and then by embracing hindsight, the study aims to arrive at some of the answers, if not more questions.